Hey guys, it's me, Sylvie Clos, and after playing through 4 playthroughs of Armored Core 6, I feel like I can give it a very honest review, including my biases, laid bare for all of you to see it. So, first of all, before I get started, Armored Core 6 is an incredible game. It's pretty accessible for people who don't play mecha games, and it's absolutely made with a lot of passion and an eye for quality. But there are several things within the game that I dislike. So I'm going to split these into two parts. I'll start off with things I love about this game, and then go into the harsher critiques that I have regarding this game's design. To start things off, the way the game's story is told is the best in the series. The voice acting in this game is phenomenal, and it certainly makes you experience a notable, emotional response toward the wide array of characters, especially compared to a lot of the old games. The constant recurring characters with their unique personalities, it really helps create a fun cast of characters instead of the super business-like mission briefings from previous games. And successive playthroughs absolutely reward players with new experiences that also affect how different missions function, and it helps create a dynamic experience even if it's the same mission. Also, spoiler alert, I might be doing some spoilery stuff, so just be aware. You can absolutely understand the story and the world around you without having to slog through finding hidden lore through the combat logs or anything like that. The actual lore helps paint the world better, but you don't need it. It makes it better, but you don't need it. You can go through each playthrough and have an understanding of what's going on, no problem. No problem at all. The sound effects in this game, absolutely satisfying. Peak, amazing. It sounds so good. The way the guns fire, the boosters, the thrusters, the explosions, everything is fantastic in terms of the sound effects. The visual design in this game, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There are so many small details, so many small things on the AC itself. The textures, the way it's assembled, it looks like an actual working robot, which sounds really funny to say. It has almost like a real robot kind of feel to it, which is amazing, it's awesome. And when you're running around and your boosters are engaged, little tiny boosters will fire off to correct your AC, to balance it, and it's such a small detail that adds such an impressive amount of life to making it feel like you're in a big ass robot. It's amazing, it's awesome. And this game has a photo mode. That is a huge plus. S tier, amazing experience. It's great. So this game has also been hella modernized, and despite the complaints that it has a hard lock system and nobody's gotten the chance to play it, you could play it with the lock-on system perfectly fine. It's fine, you could do that. Is that what you want to do? Yeah, play a much more modernized experience. Do you want the classic AC experience? Do you want to manually control your character with right analog stick? You can do that. Keep the enemy on your screen, turn your AC, no problem. On mouse and keyboard, it's actually quite fun too, because you have so much more movement options, because the sensitivities, you can set it up so much higher. Or do you want to go manual mode, where you actually have to aim, you're not assisted by your targeting computer? The raw, hardcore mecha experience. You could do that if you want to. The way the mechs move, the way the armored core units move, feels great. Quick boosting feels great. You have a gauge. Less to manage, but it's still fun regardless. I absolutely love this game. I think it has a lot of incredible things going for it, but there's definitely things that I'm not too fond of. Like the sound design. I have literally just sang its praises But the music to me felt extremely lackluster. And to put into perspective, I'm extremely biased. I love Armored Core and For Answer. To me, a lot of the music there is fantastic. The fantasy of being a dude in a giant fighting robot, destroying things, good ass music playing in the background, feels great. And I didn't really feel that in this game. The music felt so lackluster and boring. Like, after my first playthrough, I was wondering, there's something missing about this game that I just can't put into perspective. I don't understand what is missing. I figured it out. None of the music felt memorable to me. What music did I listen to playing this game stuck out? Rusty's theme. I couldn't think of anything. I was racking my brain trying to figure out, like, what is it in this game that I really liked and enjoyed in terms of music. Couldn't think of anything. I play with my music settings way higher than the sound effects because I understand that sound effects can drown out the music very easily. And I was disappointed when I just booted up a few different maps and I was just unimpressed. It sounded like you are in a big ass robot and you're trying to sneak into a facility and be super stealthy instead of blowing things up. Except the reality is you're literally blowing everything up before you because they're just too weak. It's like a power fantasy and you have like this really weird, almost Metal Gear Solid kind of theme like playing in the background. It just doesn't make any sense. And I just didn't get it. It felt so off to me. So something else I didn't like about this game was like, I really didn't like the tutorial boss. I'll go into more depth about it later, but the gist of it is, it felt like a weird filter in the beginning of the game for new players, and I don't believe in the get good mentality. I think that's actually kind of dumb. Sorry, Souls fans and other people who love difficult games, but this is an Armored Core game. In every single Armored Core game that I've played, 1, 2, 3, 4, For Answer, Last Raven, 5, the first mission is always cakewalk. You are trying to get used to your AC. You're trying to get, especially in this game, there's like so much more like verticality, quick boosting that doesn't have any iframes. There's no iframes for anything whatsoever. You have to manage your boosts, you can't stay in the air all the time, and you're fighting, of all the things, a flying enemy. And your AC is like this super basic standard AC. And it's so weird. The helicopter boss runs out of bounds, you're trying to chase it, you're trying to get used to this AC. This is literally your first mission. And I think it's poor design. In older AC games, you don't really fight a challenge like that until after like the first mission, maybe. Until you've gotten more acclimated with how your unit handles. And it's so strange to me that they chose to do this route instead of saying, oh, you can customize your AC before you fight this helicopter dude, which would have been great. Would have felt more thematic to the game because customization is such a massive draw to Armored Core, but you don't get to experience that. In 4, you get to pick your starting AC. You get to pick, do you want to be like balanced? Do you basically want to have the starting AC here? Do you want more long range? Stuff like that. Even in Dark Souls, Elden Ring, you can pick your starting loadout. You can pick what weapons you start out with. You have much more flexibility in FromSoft games than Armored Core 6 for literally no reason whatsoever. I never understood that. And speaking of customization in this game feels both great and limiting at the same time. One of the most limiting factors about this game was how the stagger system works. If you hit dudes with the melee attack, you do damage. Does it feel like a lot of damage? Not really. Not unless you actually like stagger them. Because if you stagger them, you get a multiplier. get a big fat bonus by staggering an enemy. And if you melee them, you hit them for a fat ass chunk. Hit them with any weapon, you hit them for a fat ass chunk. Like, the pulse blade you start off with, you hit them for what, 3-4 times more damage? I've never actually paid attention. But if you hit them without the stagger system active, you hit them like you're hitting them with a pillow, and it doesn't even hurt. They could just shrug it off. Yeah, you hit them, and you build the stagger gauge. Great, but does it feel satisfying? Not really, not to me. Stagger system's another thing I'm gonna go into detail another day. Long story short, multiplier's way too fucking big. It's more of a goal than a reward, and it stifles customization because you want to build builds designed to stagger the enemy and then take advantage of the enemy being staggered. And I think that really stifles the creativity you can have with customization, because instead of like building parts that you enjoy and you like, they might not be synergistic because you're barely going to stagger the enemy. They might not feel good because you might not be able to take advantage of the stagger as well as another build. Like, why would I run quadruple handguns when I could have like 2 handguns and a pile bunker, stagger the enemy, and then pile bunker them and do more damage? It's not satisfying. Why would I want to use my pile bunker on an enemy AC? It's very hard to hit a moving target with a raw pile bunker hit. And then it's gonna go on cooldown. And then if I stagger them, my pile bunker isn't ready to go. I'm just missing all that damage. So it ends up restricting how you build your AC because the stagger system is so prevalent and so powerful in this game that it feels very suffocating. I will say, in terms of the customization system, the weapons, the melee weapons specifically, feel great. They're all unique, they're all different, they all have their own personality, and it's the best in the series except these two. This is just the same thing, but color swap. But at the same time, you can only have melee weapons on one arm. You can't dual wield them or anything like that. And I get it, they don't want people being OP having 4 weapons because of the weapon bay, but you could just put a flag in the game that says you can only equip this weapon, not in the weapon bay. They have to be attached to your arm. Great. And the reason why I know they can do this is they also put the shields only on the left back unit. Which, as a side note, if you want to have 2 melee weapons, you have to put it in the weapon bay. You have to put 2 melee weapons in the weapon bay. And that results in you not being able to use a shield. You could have a shield on the right back unit, but you can't. They put a flag in the game that prevents you from putting the shield here. So why not put a flag in the game that says you can't weapon bay melee weapons because they don't want you to abuse cooldowns? There's no reason. They literally have the ability to do that, but they just didn't choose to do that. It doesn't make any sense to me. So strange. Don't get me wrong, I love this game. And as an Armored Core fan, I think this game definitely does the series justice. I really hate the stagger system. Stagger system sucks ass. It has taken away a lot of experiences I've had about this game, and it just, after several playthroughs, it just felt not fun. I fought the cleaner boss, the big molten boss with like the double chainsaws, whatever, melee only, by myself. It was a pain in the ass. I couldn't stagger it. If I did my melee run, I had no choice but to slowly whittle it down, and it was the most boring kind of gameplay I could have done. That boss had to be staggered for you to actually deal damage to it. Notable damage, or hit its weak points with ballistics. But then if you're hitting its weak points, you're staggering it for hella damage. I can't stagger. And combine, like, it would have been fine if I could have staggered the boss with melee weapons comfortably, and then, you know, deal damage when it's staggered, minus the weak point that it had, because if you hit its weak points with ranged weapons, it does extra damage, on top of extra stagger damage, which is great. I couldn't even stagger the boss for normal stagger damage. I don't need that weak point bonus, but I couldn't do that. The boss just wouldn't get staggered, and it was a slog. It took so long. It was ridiculous. I also, circling back to the customization system, I wish they had weapon arms. There's a lot of variety here with all of these, but I wish there was more. It felt so limiting. Like, what is it? You have 4 reverse joints, you have 2 quadrupeds, you have 2 tank treads, a hover tank. This is fucking great, by the way. This is the best part of the game, best part of the customization system, the gun tank legs. And you had so many bipedal legs. It felt so strange seeing so many bipedal legs. Only a handful of reverse joints, 2 quadrupeds, 3 tanks. Technically, one of them is a hover tank, so it's a little bit different. It was very unbalanced. Arms are whatever. They're arms. Kinda wish there was more. The cores, not too bad of a selection. The generators. This is my favorite generator. It's a 2000 point generator, but some builds require me to have just a tiny bit more load. But I like this energy recharge because it lets me regenerate my generator really fast in the battle. There's a 750 point difference between the next highest energy recharge generator. And beyond that, there's like less than 100. There's like so many different increments between 1200 and 238 that it's great. You have a wide range of generators there. But for some reason, there's a 750 point difference between these 2 generators, and this is the next fastest energy recharge generator. It is very strange. I didn't like it very much. Other than that, this game is great. This game is fun. I enjoy this game. I have gripes. I don't think this is a bad game. I think this is a fun game. And I'm glad people are enjoying it. I can only hope that this game gets popular. Oh, wait a fucking second. I remember something else I was going to talk about. They nerfed Balteus and other bosses. And I think that's really fucking stupid. I think it's really dumb to nerf a game, a single player game, and single player features there, unless it's like game breaking. Because you're basically doubling back and you're like, this game is too hard, so we're gonna make it easier. And I'm like, why don't you just have 2 difficulties? Why don't you just have regulations? Do you know what regulations are? If you don't know what regulations are, in For Answer, I don't remember if 4 had it, but I know For Answer did. Regulations were basically patches. You could choose which patch you wanted to play on, basically. And it was such a cool ass feature, because some weapons would get nerfed, some weapons would get buffed, and you could experience things in a different way. If you want to have one difficulty system and you nerf a hard boss, you're making that boss a different experience than the people who first played the game. And then if you nerf it later and nerf it again and change things about the boss, it's a different experience, and people aren't going to have the same experience. If you have the regulation system, which is literally an armored core system, you mitigate that because people can play whatever the fuck they want. It's great. Also, in terms of like difficulty and stuff like that, there's a feature in old armoredcore games where you could literally hire other pilots to join you in some missions. If you want the game to be difficult, but you also want to give people helping hands, why not implement that? There are so many ACs in the arena. Most of them you're probably not going to run into. I don't even remember who the hell Nosik is. I don't even remember who this dude is. Oh, I think he was... I don't even remember. Ring Freddy? Oh yeah, he was like a hidden dude. Why not give you the ability to hire some of these dudes to tag along in a mission? Why not make that be the quote-unquote easy mode in a mission? It'll eat up some of your rewards, but you'll be able to get through, no problem. You can replay missions anyway. And you get to meet all of these other ACs, no problem. It's actually such a good system that it is a shame that they did not implement that with their intention of making this game a hard game. I don't get it. There's a lot of AC features they could have included and made this game feel more like Armored Core that they chose not to. And like a feature like this actually would have been fucking great because it doesn't harm the game. It just adds more to the game, adds more personality to the different ACs that you're fighting with. It's great. It's absolutely fantastic. Well, that was pretty much it. Thank you for sticking to my rants and listening to me rant like 21 minutes long. I love this game. I'll talk to you guys later. Make sure you check out my streams. We can hang out there. Bye-bye.